Hi, child of God. So today we're going to be speaking about what it means to be a fisher of man. And this is for the children of God because we all are a fisher of man. It doesn't matter if the purpose that God has for you is something as, playing instruments and things like that. As us being children of God, we all are a fisher of man. Okay, so the first thing is obedience. Understand, when you become a fisher of man, this is the Lord transitioning you from being that fisher, right, unto the fisher of man. And what do I mean by fisher? We know Simon, he was a fisher. And indeed, yes, the Lord did bless him to catch fish. But when Jesus had came unto him, he let him know, follow after me, and I will make you a fisher of man. As us being children of God, the Lord has a better and a greater purpose for our lives. Greater the Lord wants you to see, greater the Lord wants you to experience. And your obedience is needed. And understand the importance of having a rod. Without a rod, you're unable to catch anything. You need to be obedient. Without your obedience, you're unable to help anybody. You're unable to bring in any fish from that contaminated water. You need to be obedient unto the Lord, regardless of whatever it is that the Lord is calling you from and out of. You need to obey him. Because if you don't, you're unable to help anyone. You're unable to catch anything. So be obedient. It's your rod. And you have to be okay with stepping away from being that fisher and following the Lord and his instruction and his will for your life and becoming the fisher of man. Next would be your bait. And your bait is the word of God. Now, I know bait itself is very deceiving because, a fish end up eating up the bait and then they end up getting ringed up, taken out of their home, eaten, or whatever. But see, the bait of God is not deceiving. Remember, as you being a fisher of man, you are ranking up fishes. You are ranking up souls from out of a contaminated water. And you are taking them from out of a water that is filled with pollution. So, for instance, right? Say, for instance, you know someone worldly, right? They're not living for the Lord. They don't have the Lord. And we all know that people, they suffer in such brutal ways from the attacks of the enemy because they don't have the protection of God, because they have not accepted God into their life. But say, for instance, you know that this person, right? They're suffering from sickness. You will let them know how the Lord healed the sick. You will probably bring up the story of Hezekiah and remind them that the Lord, he's a redeemer. He wants to help you, right? He wants to come in, but you have to accept him. And again, the things of God is not deceiving because the Lord will truly help. He will truly heal and he will truly redeem someone, right? So having the word of God and having the Lord in general is so important as we are fishers of man. And there's times to where we may think that, oh man, think about the million other people that came unto this person, trying to let them know this, trying to talk this and that to them, and they still have yet to receive it. You have to understand that when it's sown by the Lord and when the Lord had sent that person to speak something, it's gonna stick. Despise not humble beginnings, and that is a humble beginning. Next, you will need your bucket. And your bucket stands for consistency. In order for you to keep the fish, right, that the Lord blesses you to catch, right, the souls and the people that come unto you. So say, for instance, you're a leader in whatever way. You may be leading someone in your family, your friend, right, your children, your husband, your wife, or just even, like people that you don't know, but the Lord is entrusting you to, lead them and to help them on their journey. You will need a safe place to keep them. And your consistency, right, with you having the Lord, with you seeking the Lord, that's where your bucket comes. If y'all can perceive that through the Spirit. Because the more that you, right, seek the Lord, that place of protection and that, that wisdom and that place to where they will be able to be kept, right? Because the Lord may give you specific instructions, specific downloads, right? that's going to specifically help them, like individually, to keep them in that boat, right? To keep them safe. That's what's going to keep them from jumping back inside that polluted water. So you need your bucket, because your bucket is your consistency. And when you are consistent, you are able to not just, sow seeds, but you're able to keep people, right? You're able to, help people out individually. And it's not through the acts of you, right? It's not through you, but it's through the Lord, but through your consistency. Because when a person is consistent, when it comes down to them and the Lord will keep them rooted, right? The Lord will supply you with all that you need to keep these fishes. And lastly, you need a boat. And your boat is what? It's the Lord. So the boat, again, it symbolizes protection, right? It keeps you floated, from touching that contaminated water. It keeps you protected. It keeps the fishes therein protected. And this is the Lord. You need the Lord as you being a fisher of men. The Lord is your protection. The Lord is going to keep you from falling back inside of that water of pollution, right? The Lord is going to lead you where you need to go. He's going to carry you where you need to go. If you need rest, the Lord's going to be there so that you can rest. And we know the Lord, he has much more features than just a boat. But in order for you guys to understand, what I'm saying and to perceive it, I'm summing it down a bit. You know what I mean? So yes, the Lord's going to give you insight. He's going to help you. He's going to be there. Jesus is going to be with you on that boat, letting you know where to cast that net at, letting you know rather if it's time to rank it in, rather if it's time to leave it out. So yeah, I hope that just gave you guys an understanding, right, on what it's like to be a fisher of man and the things required to be a fisher of man. But I love you guys. You guys be blessed. And yeah,